All right, hello and welcome to the channel. I want to start with a disclaimer that this is not financial advice. This is purely education and entertainment. Just going to be talking about the way that I do things. And I always want to start off with the economic calendar. As for me, from my mentor, what he described it as like a TV guide in a sense. You can kind of look at this and get a kind of look ahead into when volatility in a sense will be in the marketplace, right? And that's kind of something that I really look for. I don't like to dabble around too much, something called scalping, right? I kind of have found out for myself, I like to see a little bit of a larger move on the daily for me to really start getting active. And so I've been real just, observant to start this year off. There wasn't really much for me to take advantage of, except for I did have this this Thursday. So I guess you could say 2 days ago now, since it's technically Saturday. But on Thursday was actually the first day this week where I actually saw a setup that was worthwhile for me to take. But just starting with the economic calendar, we do see that we had Martin Luther King Day on Monday. So with that being said, we did have a shortened day in the market. But then heading into Tuesday, we get this Empire State Manufacturing Index. And then Wednesday, we have PPI. Thursday, unemployment and Philly Fed Manufacturing Index. And then Friday, this is the home sales. We had an FOMC member speaking. And also we have one on Thursday afternoon as well. So those were just some potential catalysts for volatility entering into the marketplace. But now going to the chart. So we see here, I'm just gonna start off with the weekly because the monthly is pretty much the same. The main thing here is still observing the fact that we're trading within December's range. So we started off very bullish, and my bias in a sense was that we would just continue higher because that's what we've been doing. But in my last video, I do also mention that there's plenty of, in a sense, reason for price to trade lower from areas within this range up here, right? And so what we're seeing is we actually, if you look at the high of last week, with the high and looking at the top left over here, right, by the H, the high was 34,464, right? This week's high, 34,489. So we went up about 25 points, right, from this high before we rejected, and this candle ultimately closed actually below the low of this candle. So this is a full engulfing right here, which is a powerful signal just for likely a reversal back down, especially being it on a weekly chart. That's a really, really powerful price action in a sense. And so I can already say with certainty, but I'll obviously go through the time frames here, that next week, as far as Dow is concerned, I will say I'm more going to be looking for just a continuation. But obviously want to allow price to prove that to me by trading to some sort of resistance in a sense of run on buy side liquidity, or trading up into some imbalance that was created during this drop here. And I do want to just shuffle over real quick to the other equity futures markets just to kind of show the contrast between them, because one thing that I do want to get a better understanding of as well with these is how to effectively analyze them when they're not trading in sync. So if you notice, as I go to NASDAQ actually closes bullish. Now, I will say though that this particular pattern that could be setting up is still, for me, more likely to be a reversal, but I would not be surprised if we needed to trade a little bit higher first, possibly up until this line, which is about 11,677, right? So that would be something I was looking out for if has a willingness to trade up there before resuming lower, or even if it wants to use one of the levels of this past week, be that the close or the high of it, right? Now looking at SPX, so we did get a bearish close on SPX, kind of similar to Dow, except for the fact that the close is really high up, as opposed to where Dow we actually closed below the low of last week's candle. So definitely not in sync at all, right? They're all kind of doing their own thing in a sense. But again, this is also a nice pattern that could be setting up for continuation lower. And then just keeping that same thing in mind, here we're trading within December's range. And I don't have the December high and the low marked up, but this is, again, that got to be the high December, and then the low is up in here. So same thing with NASDAQ still, though. That's the one thing that we do have in common. They were all trading within December's range. Now getting back up to Dow Jones, dropping down to, well, so before I even drop down to the daily, this level up here is important. So although on a smaller time frame, I was saying that that might be the reason for us to find something to trade lower from. Also on a high time frame, you know, we don't ever want to forget about any type of clues we can derive from the high time frame. So with this large wick here on this down close candle, right? Measuring out this wick to the halfway point, this was a level 34478. And so if you notice, this week closed short of it, but this week actually tagged into it by trading up to 489. So we got about 11 points higher than that before ultimately we just started to trade lower. And then we picked up some steam going into Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And I'll show that once we get down to the smaller time frame. So here we are on a daily. We see again, Tuesday was the day that traded up there. Nice sharp rejection lower. Same thing here where we pretty much engulfed this whole candle. Next candle, we trade higher. And then this is that Wednesday, right? We picked up some steam, took out a swing low on the daily, traded into some daily volume imbalances, got back within this consolidation range. Then Thursday, pushed again, actually opened with a gap. So we got a volume imbalance here to mark up, which I guess I'll do since we are here. All right, just might as well do it. So we got this volume imbalance. And then we'll just extend that to the right. And then we also have created this new volume imbalance. And so what we're seeing here is now on Thursday, right, when we trade lower, again, we traded down to this weekly support level in the form of a order block. We closed below it, but not really leaving any sort of in my opinion, major displacement below it. And then obviously we see the next day we actually open up higher. So Friday opened up with a gap as well, opened up higher above that weekly support level. We did end up trading lower again and making a new low before ripping higher to close out the week. And so looking at it from a daily perspective, if when we get Monday's trading, if we never challenge this low, then this will be confirmed as a swing low. And so this candle, we have a confirmed swing high, and then we'll have a confirmed swing low. And then so within that range, even potentially just up to about the 50% or just a little bit above, I would be willing to see this trade up to before I start looking for a continuation lower, because this one had the most energy trading lower all week in comparison to, you know, the other two, NASDAQ and S&P, right? And so going out to the 4-hour chart, now you start to see the daily dividers, right? You see the weekly opening price. I know in the last video I had this resistance level marked up just as from the open of this candle down to the low. So just the wick I had measured out. And that's why we did see that basically price traded above that area, but then right kind of got back within it and then traded lower. But this imbalance up here being part of that situation, This is all resistance, and so once I readjusted it up to into this imbalance, you do see a little bit smoother price action here on the 4 hour as it just ultimately just worked this level. All right, got real close to the top, hit that 50% of that weekly wick, and then it's pretty much as soon as the week started, because this is when we started on Sunday, we just drifted lower. All right, and yeah, so that is the 4 hour. On the hour, so again, week starts here. Got the weekly opening price drawn out. You see how we pretty much, this would be in my eyes the consolidation, but then right once we get into Tuesday, 9 o'clock, right, we trade higher, basically like a false move here, lower, another false move, lower, kind of get a little bit of consolidation, right? One more time, lower, retracement, and we get consolidation. And then this is Wednesday morning, we see it picks up some energy and really starts to rip lower. Continuation, right? Early Thursday, leading into some consolidation. Friday trades lower, takes out this sell side, and then could not commit. So what's typical, especially on a Friday, a return back into the range for the week. So that was beautiful delivery, in my opinion. I was, by the time that it was here though, I was already just kind of looking at NASDAQ, and we'll just kind of glance over there and I'll show you why. So as you can see with NASDAQ, there's a little bit of a difference in the sense that we didn't just straight up trade lower, right? So we were lower. Ultimately, we consolidated, but drifting higher. We trade into our own respective resistance here on NASDAQ. And then on Wednesday, right, just when Dow picked up that momentum, same thing with NASDAQ. We finally started to pick up some momentum, trade lower, took out some sell side liquidity from the week before. I wanted to see this low and the London low from last Wednesday taken out. Did not get that. Ultimately, we'll see on a smaller time frame as well. Once so I'm gonna just finish 30 and then I'll come back to NASDAQ from the hour and drop down and kind of show what I was seeing over here. So 30-minute, right? So from the open, can just just showing more detail, right? How we open, bearish candle, rally, we hit that level, that weekly, right, midpoint level of that wick, trade low off of that, find resistance at the weekly opening price, trade lower again. Don't forget this red line is from that daily fib. So within a premium of that daily fib, these levels I was saying I would like to see potential sell interest from. So we do end up trading lower than that with some momentum, get a little retest, lower again, right? Consolidation. And then again, Wednesday with that news, we picked up some energy, trade lower. And then ultimately it just comes to consolidation. But on a Friday, one more time, make the new low of the week. And then a nice, beautiful rally here to end the week, returning back into the range. 15-minute, just more details, right? Nothing crazy. 5-minute, same thing, just more details, nothing crazy, right? So now, going back to NASDAQ, want to see how I was able to determine basically that it wasn't going to continue lower without breaking this specific low, but we need to go into a small time frame to see that. So on a 30-minute here, we see now, right, you see some of my trend lines that I use here just to kind of denote when certain lows and highs are taken out. And then I'm watching those levels to see how price reacts to them. Does it have a willingness to stay below it in this case and continue, or will it get back above it and maybe find reason to, challenge some highs, right? And so kind of getting a little bit more nitty gritty, see the whole picture. This is actually that, like I said on Thursday, I finally saw a setup that made sense. So this is actually what I was looking for. And as far as me saying, I was looking to take out that old, right, low and then that London low from that last Wednesday. That was the idea with this trade setup. So it was over a 5-to-1 setup. We do see, right, upon initially trading up into here, I was able to catch 100 points and 80 points partials off of my entry, and that was pretty much it, right? Once we returned back up here, then that was pretty much it for me, right? Just kind of back to the sidelines, and rightfully so, because if you look at what happens after that, we get nothing but consolidation, and eventually the level that I was using, which was this down close candle right here, and let me just kind of mark that up so that you can see what eventually happens. So we're using it really nicely here, nice rejections. But as we traded into Friday, still more rejections. But look at that. We eventually break through it. And then we find some support. And then we even get back above this old broken low. We got back above the opening price for the week. So NASDAQ was definitely on one in a sense. It retraced a lot harder than Dow Jones did, for sure, for sure. But now getting really to it though, on that 5 minute is really where NASDAQ was able to shine as far as this reversal into the end of the week, or retracement into the end of the week. So there was, if you notice, this low here had trouble getting below it as far as bodies of candles. Then we do get one body candle close below. Next candle immediately close right back above. And then you can also see, right, that then these bodies start to respect it as well. Once we trade higher here, we make this count an order block. And we never actually tapped back into this. So whatever was going on with the price delivery, it had began to shift gears and start to reach for old highs, right? And so this was evident here with this run up here, a nice solid retracement going into the end of the day. And we opened up with a small gap here. Ultimately consolidation, if you ask me. Tap into that resistance again, one more time lower. And now at this point, my attention is on this down close candle, the midpoint of the body. We see we tap it there, pierce it here a little bit, but both times we got a nice rejection from it. And then just kind of drifting back into the resistance, right? Leaves that resistance one more time, leaves it at the opening, the 9:30 opening with some momentum, really ultimately inducing people to look for sales. I myself was a victim of that thought process as well. I was thinking that it would sell from the open and maybe go and then take out those targets I was looking for, but that was not the case. It traded lower, basically below these lows here. And so can mark that up for just some sell side. So use like this, right? See how we trade below that, but the nice rejection, and then back into that 15-minute resistance, that breaker, and then just basically volatility, but price expanded to the upside as well. Just you wouldn't want to have been watching it on a day like today. Want to kind of just get in and let it rock out, come and check it out a few hours and then, try to manage it. But nice dynamic price run once we were able to get above that resistance level, and actually gave us, a retest entry as well, not forgetting this daily volume imbalance and everything. So it was plenty of clues to take NAS long to end the week on a Friday. But after a setup like this, which again, the risk was 35 points. I said I was able to take partials at 80 and 100 points, right? So technically, that was still like a 2 to over 3 to 1 on those exits. So still a very solid trade. And so now I can get rid of that. I only put it back up just to mention that because I have no reason to, come on here and do the most or try to pretend to be anything that I'm not. Like I said, I'm just sharing my experience, and really this is just for me a video journal, if you will, of my progress through 2023 as I become a monster at this shit. But yeah, so now going back to the calendar for this upcoming week, just to kind of get that look ahead. So on Monday, nothing high impact. Tuesday, we got high and a medium impact. Wednesday, no higher medium impact. Thursday, both medium and high impact. And then Friday, high impact. So should be a nice week next week. Let's going back to the Dow real quick. And we will look at them all again from the daily. So we looked at them from the weekly, and I was mentioning what I would be most looking forward to. So on the daily chart though, we have a swing high here, and we have this swing low here on Nasdaq. And so considering the fact that it was already the lowest, like all of this was basically just a big consolidation in a sense. And so it's really close to the lowest lows it made all of last year, right? As we kind of have been hesitant on this specific pair to trade much lower compared to its counterparties in S&P. We see on the daily chart, see we have lows all the way down here that we drifted from, and then we had this consolidation, and now we're kind of, you know, just working different levels here as there's not much high probability on the daily chart for real. There's not much to really look at and say with any certainty where it's likely to go next. So you just got to kind of go with the flow, keep it simple. Going back up to Dow, now you see the difference here as well. Get the lows all the way down here. This was very bullish off of those lows, but again, just measuring out that range, we got up to that resistance level, traded above it again, made that December high, right? Traded lower, and then we also got some consolidation, pushed out of that with a bunch of news, and then coincidentally, another week with some news saw us drop back down, and now we're back in basically this range here in a sense. So it'd be interesting to see what is in store for the upcoming week. What I would need to see here, we already got this low took out. So this Friday's low is lower than Thursday's low. So if the next day is able to print and close for us, so Monday's trading basically, and leave a low that's higher than this low, then this will confirm a swing low for me. And again, just based off of that, would like to see it at least trade back up into a premium of this particular range that it created, and kind of see if there's any confluence on a smaller time frame to take any setups with that information. Nasdaq, we actually get a confirmed swing low because Thursday's low was not violated on Friday, and we traded up aggressively. There are again reasons up here for this market to then turn back around. I would obviously love all three to be trading in sync, so there's not too much confusion by the way of them not trading together. But you know, it is what it is, right? So just as far as Nasdaq is concerned, though, definitely yet again, until until the market trades into a key level that I view as resistance, there's no reason for me to be looking for any trades at all, but in particular sales. So possibly if something sets up catching a buy up until that next resistance level, maybe something to look forward to on a smaller time frame during certain times of day. And then, you know, just because I've already kind of looked at all of them, just last but not least, right? So swing low confirmed on Thursday. Friday's trading very aggressive, and still potential areas they may want to tap into before trading lower. So just going to keep that in mind. We got swing high here, swing low here. And so we're within that range, already back at 50% of it. So it'd be interesting to see, does it respect that off the open, gap up, gap down, no gap, right? All of these things. All I could do right now is just use the best of my experience to formulate some sort of bias. But to be completely honest, it's still very low probability considering we had this nice run up during this week where there's a lot of news, and then we get some news this week and we drop down, but we got a nice retracement or potential reversal here this time. So again, it'd be interesting to see how this all plays out. And I believe that with that, I'm gonna end this. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all be safe, and definitely, like I always say, I hope you all learn something.